Welcome, everybody. My name is Emily Comer, and I am your podcast engineer with the World of Ability Podcast Network. And we are happy to re energize this network with a uh, show called The World of Pets by Debbie Hayes of Debbie's Pets. And this is going to be great. You know, you're going to love the show because it's all about your pet. So it's like an animal house. So again, here I am, Emily, and here to introduce Debbie Hayes and David, as they are a dynamo team. So over to Deb and David.
Thank
And
you.
we have a great guest today, so I'll have
We
Debbie and
do.
introduce them.
We have Mr. Kurt Weeks, who we're going to introduce in a few minutes. So, you want your pets to feel safe with you. You want them to feel your unconditional love because certainly they have unconditional love for us. You want them to live a long time, but you want that to be a good quality of life. And we feel that we found something that can facilitate that. It's backed up by 400, more than 400 actually, research studies in the United States on pets and humans, and lots and lots of testimonials. One of who you're going to hear from tonight, from Kurt Weeks. So we always have a question of the day, and David is going to tell you the question of the day, and then we'll both answer it, and then we'll introduce Mr. Kurt.
What
David,
up,
take it away.
Kurt? I'm so glad that you're here with us. This is exciting. So the question of the day is, how long did your oldest pet live? And I would say I don't know yet because he's still behind me, and he's getting healthier by the day. It just blows my mind. But his dad lived 13 years, and little Paint and Poo behind me, who's probably going to be rattling around and messing up my bed as he usually does, is he's 15 right now. His dad lived to 13, and he came up with a rare blood disease, which was really sad because it happened really fast. But we think of him all the time. Our pets are like our kids, or some of them. If you put it into dog years, they're older than us when they pass away. So, uh, with that, Debbie, how long was your oldest pet?
So my oldest one we got when he was about a year and a half. His human mother at the time was afraid that he was going to bowl over one of her two toddlers because he was already pretty big at that time. He was part black lab and part pitty. And so at that time, my son was in the third grade, which I think makes him about 8 years old. And when I put the Pepper. Yeah, it was Pepper. Sorry. When I put Pepper down, um, my son was 27 years old. And don't forget, he was a year and a half to 2 years when we got him. So he lived to be 20 or 21. It was a very sad day in my household when that happened. So, um, so we usually take a little bit more time with that, with the question of the day, but we're going to save that time for Mr. Kurt Weeks. He is certified in pet nutrition. He also is the one that introduced me to these wonderful products, and he's become a great mentor and an even better friend. He and his wife Gail as well. And so I don't want to take up any more of his time. Kurt, take it away, please.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Debbie. I think I'm going to answer the question of the day with a story. And I always tend to get a little bit emotional around this. I had a husky. You can see that we kind of like huskies around here. These two characters that are behind me are both 8 years old. They're litter mates, going on 9 this year, just puppies. Hanging out in the car and riding down the road. But we got them when Zenta was when we started seeing Zenta start being old and diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And at the age of 14, I'm talking about at the age of 14, the vet had given up on Zenta. And when I say give up, the vet had prescribed enough medication, and we were in the vet every month for 7 lumps on her that were the size of my fist. Half of them were considered to be cancerous. She lost her paw pads when she would go out for a walk. She was blind. She had a tough time being able to get around. Her arthritis was bad. Her backbones were infusing together. And the vet said, she's old. She's 14. You can go ahead and put her down. And we just didn't feel like it was in our heart. We didn't think that Zenta was ready for that. We weren't ready for that for sure. Of course, just like you said, Debbie, that's a hard time. And so we brought her home, put her in hospice care, and literally a friend came over to say her goodbye, their goodbyes. And they had a biscuit with them that had a mushroom. And we had never heard about this. And David, we weren't that kind of folks that had known anything about mushrooms. We knew that they went on steak and that somebody in Washington tried to taste the rainbow with them, but we just didn't know. And that put me on a path of education, because day 4 of Zenta being on the mushroom, she jumps on the couch. And we're like, she hadn't been on the couch in 3 years. And we're just blown away about this. And lo and behold, within 30 days, she's walking around the house doing just fine. We backed her off of the medications that the vet had gotten her. Everything was going in the right direction, where for the past 4 years, everything was going in the wrong direction. And I was cooking for it, a medicine cabinet full of stuff to be able to try and help her out, including all the empty bottles from the vet. And not everything had led us to this point. And then all of a sudden, this little biscuit with this mushroom. So lo and behold, I got certified in pet nutrition. Zenta lived she lived 19 and a half years, almost made it to 20. And her boyfriend that lived just down the street, who got on the mushrooms a little while after they heard the story about Zenta. He was older than she was, and he just passed at 22 years of age.
Wow.
Now, I've met horses 47 years old. I'm talking about pets. I've seen mice that have lived 2 years that are only supposed to live a year or so. The mushrooms are just absolutely amazing, but they're amazing for the puppies too, because it can eliminate things like the bone problems and the connective tissue issues and those kind of things. It's just a food. And so that started us on this path. We paired with a company that is absolutely committed to offering the best for our pets. And so we say, we're helping people and pets, one pet parent at a time, to be able to do the best that they possibly can, have the best possible life.
That's fantastic. What would you say is the most significant thing about the supplement? The most significant result, I guess you would say, that you noticed right away? Was it the joints? What did the pads, start to heal up? What kind of stuff did you see right away?
Her quality of life got better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
She could move around better, just by being able to move around and not being in as much pain. The healing still had to happen, but she was moving around better. At day 4, she's jumping on the couch. That quality of life for her to do what she's done, what she wanted to do, which is to be with us, was back. And that was the most profound thing. We saw that right away. And we just saw things getting better and better. Her eyes were completely frosted over, about like the screen that you see back there. Her eyes were completely frosted over. um, we play a game in our house called the marshmallow game. Now, I'm certified in pet nutrition. Doesn't always mean that I give my dogs the best food. Sometimes they get treats like marshmallows. But we play the marshmallow game. And for Zenta, unfortunately, what ended up happening was that she'd have to get hit in the head with a marshmallow and then she'd search for it. And that was her game at 14. At the age of 15, Zenta's catching marshmallows again.
Nice.
Her eyes were completely unfrosted. And so reversing the idea of aging probably is playing a second fiddle to that quality of life thing, because not only was she doing amazing with the quality of life, swimming with the ducks, playing with the other dogs, but she was reversing the things that said were not reversible by the vet. And so great question around that. It was unbelievable to experience. And literally I got back a hold of my friend that brought us over the mushroom treats. And I'm emotional guy anyway, if you can't tell that. And I'm sharing with him, I'm like, what did you give my dog and how do I get more? What is this? And why have I not heard about this? And there's a quiet revolution that's happening around our healthcare, and it's starting with our animals, and it's mushrooms. Mushrooms are opening the door to a better quality of life. It's kind of gone away from us around the 1500s when the church had said that mushrooms were kind of witchcraft, and people got scared of mushrooms, and I was too. I'm right there with it all. I didn't know that mushrooms could be fed to dogs. I always thought anything other than the little mushroom that was in the store was poisonous and shouldn't be eaten, shouldn't be taken. And I am glad to be wrong about that.
Right. Kurt, can I back up in the story a minute?
Yeah.
So one of the things that Zenta did or did not do, that she would cower under the table because she didn't want to be touched.
Right.
She didn't want to be petted by you. So in addition to her jumping up on the couch, what happened? I think this is the most poignant part of the story.
So great point, Debbie. I missed on sharing this. If you would go to touch her, just go and touch the top of her fur. She would be ready for the pain. And she was on so many medications to eliminate the pain that she would be kind of stuck over in the corner, staying away from everybody. And when she jumped on the couch and she turned over, her tail was on me. She turned over, looked at me and said, come on, pet me. You know you want to pet me. And I reached over and I'm stroking all the way down her back, which would typically have her wincing, and she loved it. She just loved it. And that's that quality of life I was talking about, David. It's hard to put it into words to share with you how powerful it is to have your best friend back. And from day 4, I had my best friend back. And when she passed at 19 and a half, we knew it was time. She knew it was time. She was ready. She passed from an accident, not anything that had to do with any of the health problems that were there. She passed from an accident, and we let her go peacefully. And just a tremendous life that she got to live for almost 5 years. Just absolutely amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. So, one thing that we tell people about their pets, if they do have something catastrophic, hers definitely was catastrophic, that and you wouldn't have known this to verbalize it like we're going to verbalize it tonight, but how many mushrooms do you think she had in the beginning? Because if somebody has something catastrophic, we do ask them to take more because we want to build up their immune system right away.
Yeah, great question, Debbie. She was on hospice care. So Zenta could have anything that she wanted. We went and got, steak. She got steak. She wanted an egg. She got an egg. So she loved these biscuits. She would take them and eat them up. Some dogs will actually take them and hide them because instinctively they want to be able to put them in a place until they feel bad, and then they'll go find them underneath a pillow underneath their bed. But Zenta would eat them, and so she would get 4, 5, 6 biscuits in a day. And so we had no problem giving her, extra that was there. I think recommended it was 3 or 4 that she was recommended. She probably got 5 or 6, truth be told, she probably got 7, and I got to try them too, because I was told that they were made in human kitchens and they were edible for human beings. So I tried a quarter of this little thing, and it tastes like a peanut butter cookie from Whole Foods without any sugar on it. And lo and behold, fast forward 4 or 5 months, there's no treats in the house except for chocolate frosting and a bag of mush puppies. And I'm bringing out the chocolate frosting. I'm putting chocolate frosting on a bag of mush puppies, and I'm eating them while watching a movie. They're wonderful little cookies, not at all like what we think of dog food being, but these are human food that we give to our animal to allow them to be better. And the stories abound. I have stories beyond stories around what this has done for different animals. I'm thinking of a dog that had 7 surgeries on its stomach, 7 surgeries to try and straighten out its gut and the things that were going on for it. And it starts getting mushrooms, and she didn't know any different. She didn't look at the bag. She's just feeding treats, and she gives the dog a half a bag of these biscuits. And there's a month's worth of these biscuits in for a medium-sized dog. She gives the dog a whole half a bag. And so she gives me a call and she goes, did I do something wrong? I'm like, nope, it's just going to work faster. And sure enough, the dog's running around after day 2, being all excited, and that quality of life is coming back faster. So the more we give, the faster that quality of life is coming back.
Yeah, I can see that, and I can vouch for how good they are, because Mr. Peyton had to have several of his teeth removed, and so I have to break them up. And sometimes he wants some, he'll break them. I can break them up by hand. But if he's having a tender tooth day, I got to kind of wet them down with my saliva. They taste like a peanut butter cookie with no sugar. It's actually amazing. So my mom looks at me like I'm nuts. She's like, "Why are you eating your dog treats?" I'm like, "Because they're good, and they're good for you."
Yeah. And we want to be super quiet about this. And here's we want to share with everybody.
Right.
But I do not want to share with the corporate, the corporate entities. We have a proprietary extraction method, a proprietary mushroom that's come about. There's an amazing story wrapped around all of that. The idea around this is that if we're very quiet about this, no big corporation is going to come and try and buy us out. Now, eventually, when we get so big, we're going to stand on our own, and we're not going to be undertowed around all of that. But in the meantime, we're going to help out as many people as we possibly can with this proprietary strain. And what I mean by that is this: when this all got started, it got started with people first. The woman that got started with all of this, and I know we're talking pets, but there was a gentleman in Washington, and his mom lived in New York, and she ended up with lung cancer. And I think I'm not supposed to say the C word, so she had lung issues, right? And they took part of her lung. And this is a little place, a little hospital called Sloan Kettering, if you ever heard of it, out of New York. It's huge. And they sent her home and gave her a clean bill of health. They said she was fine. Months and months later, she's not feeling so good anymore. She goes back, makes an appointment, goes back. They take an X-ray, and her lungs are full of all the polyps of cancer, of this stuff. and they turn around and said, if we take the polyps, then we take your lungs, put your affairs in order, time to go home. It's kind of like Zenta at 14 and a half, right? The vet gives up on him. And so she goes home. Now, luckily, her son knew a famous doctor in Japan who he was relatives with, and said, hey, nephew, I'm understanding that there's something there. The nephew says, yes, I have a mushroom that they're studying in Japan. I'll send it to you. Send it to your mom. He does. Mom starts taking it. 2 months later, mom doesn't have night sweats anymore. 3 months later, she's not coughing anymore. And they get a hold of Sloan Kettering, make an appointment. It takes a month or so to get back in there. 4 months, 4.5 months has gone by. They take an x-ray of her lungs. They're like, what happened? There has never been a case where somebody has recovered from stage 4 before. So the family goes, this is amazing. This strain is coming out of Japan. And they start getting this and sharing it with family. And then the where they're getting the strain from, they get the proprietary rights to it. And they also understand the ancient extraction method that they use over there. And they get that for the country in a proprietary extraction method. So it's the one that gets studied the most. And Debbie, you talked about more than 400 studies. I'm sitting and I read these things all the time. I'm actually looking at a little bit more than 200 different studies around this particular strain of mushroom that's happening this year. So it's the most studied mushroom, and it's been studied in a major way for health reasons, but it cannot be put through the pharmaceutical companies because they can't patent what's there. They want to extract, but once they extract, then there's side effects. No known side effects other than if you eat 98% of this mushroom for your diet, your fingernails may get a little bit darker, and your poop does get just a little bit darker, but it's what you're eating, right? It's just your food. So it's like eating too much broccoli. I'm gonna have some.
I always like to roll the clock back, I guess. So back to the peanut butter taste. Most dogs like peanut butter, so that's good. But what about if you have a large dog? If you have a dog that maybe doesn't like peanut butter so much, what would be the alternatives?
Yeah, we actually got when we rolled this out, and I say we, it's a company that we pair with, right? They rolled this out for pets. There was literally a horse with Cushing's. Now, if you don't know Cushing's is an incurable virus, lives in the liver. For horses, it means that their step gets askew. They trip over their own feet. They can't shed. And they eventually, over a short period of time, have to put them down because the horse's quality of life is not there. And so a police officer finds out about this mushroom, starts feeding the mushroom to his horse, calls back after 4 days and says, hey, is it possible that this is helping out my horse? Yes, it's possible after 4 days. What's going on? The horse seems to be shedding, which is a good sign that the Cushing's is subsiding. And a side note around all of that, a horsewoman comes in. Some folks know her. She's a famous singer, and she's going to do she's going to walk down Las Vegas Boulevard, and she gets to pick from all the police horses that are there. And she picks Odie to be her horse that she rides on for this music video release. Anyway, so the company goes, there's a definite demand for horses, and so we'll make a treat with carrots, and so these carrot treat are something that we offer for animals that don't like peanut butter. And it seems like the dogs love, if they don't like peanut butter, they'll love these, and instinctively they'll take them in. They smell the mushrooms, and instinctively they'll want to be able to eat them. But I've had finicky animals who've been on death's door that I just take and put a little bit of bacon grease on my fingers and put it on the biscuits, and they'll eat them up, and then they eat them from that point forward. But if a dog doesn't like peanut butter, we have them in the horse treats with carrots, and then we also do a treat with freeze-dried liver. And animals will eat liver because it's more nutrient dense than any other part of the animal. In fact, in the wild, the wild wolves will actually take down the hunt, and the alpha gets the liver. So if you ever want to treat your dog extra special, give them a liver treat, freeze-dried liver treat with mushrooms on it, and they will just love you for that. Cats love that too. So we do have other alternatives that are there, but the most potent way to be able to get the mushrooms is literally the horse biscuits or the mush puppies.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great question.
David, do you have other questions for Kurt?
You know, I think I'm running out of questions for today.
All right, Kurt, do you have closing words for us?
When's a good time to do anything? When's a good time to get started? And I think it was yesterday when a lot of folks want to be able to get started, right? It was, I wish I've heard so many people share with me, I wish I would have known you then.
Right.
And then they get a new puppy. And then when's a good time to start a puppy on mushrooms, or when's a good time to start a puppy on antlers? We haven't even talked about antlers, but antlers are a natural source of great minerals. And it's also the building block for soft organs and the rest of the body. So these are great treats to be able to start a young dog on. I would preface it this way. When's the best time to have the best quality of life? Like David had said, when do you want the most profound action to happen for your animal? We want it to happen today. Mm-hmm. And so, Debbie, I hope you share a link to this site so that folks are able to get this proprietary mushroom, this proprietary strain and extraction method, and more is better around this. So don't be shy. Feed your animal treats and watch the magic happen. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell you, even at Peyton's age, after being paralyzed 4 times, he's bouncing around now. I switched over to the warehouse for my company. He follows me around. He figured out how to open the door to the warehouse, and he just doop 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 doop, and he'll play. Anybody that comes in wants to play with him and pet him. He's got more energy now than he did, 6-8 months ago, by far. And I definitely can tell that the mushrooms have improved his life for sure.
You're being an amazing pet dad, giving him that quality of life. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
He even rides the forklift with me.
Really?
Yeah, I gotta get video of it. I'll share it with you.
Wow, please do.
It's
very
pretty fun. The delivery guys love it when I roll out with him riding shotgun on the forklift.
That's a good one. I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
Okay, good. Emily, you ready to join us again and close us out here?
To thank Kurt for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Emily.
Of the information. And so we are here every Tuesday at 8 Central, 7 Mountain. And so we'd love to have everybody join us again next week, or tune in to our YouTube channel and other places to watch it. So I guess until next week.
Very good. And yeah, Kurt had asked about the website, debspets.com, and that will take you right to the company website. So next week I'll be better. I'll be better with my technical. I'll know to consult my podcast engineer so I can put that on.
Is it debspets.com? debspets.com. Is there a period in there?
The dot is a period.
Okay. debspets.com. Okay, I got it. Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks again, Kurt, so much for everything. Debbie, for all your mentorship. Emily, for your engineership. I appreciate being able to share this time with you guys.
Yeah, it's fun. We look forward to Tuesday nights. Just, one thing. Next week, we are going to talk a little bit more about the mushrooms in case people have an interest, have their interest piqued after hearing this story. And then the following week, a friend of mine is actually going to get on and talk about when they had to decide to put their pet down. So we're going to talk about different ways to dispose of our pets' remains. And that will be a hard one. That will be a bring your Kleenex one probably, but there are some options out there. And in case people don't know them, then we'll be talking about those options.
Very good.
Yeah. So thanks, everybody. See you next week.